Hi, I'm Marie, and welcome back to Let's Build Harvest Town. And today we are building the house for Rhea Pepper, who is the oldest daughter um, of Garvin and Amira Pepper from my Pepper Mansion build. And this is her house, and she lives here with her husband Dante and their two children, Antoine and Tony. So this is their house. I'm building the kind of entrance area and that jazz. This build is also another unique thing about this build is that this build was made a part of Mullen's Mega Mullen's shell build challenge, which I submitted this build for, which you guys can go check out on the gallery. My gallery ID is Wubkey, the same as my YouTube channel. And you can also check out Mullen's content and everyone else who also submitted to the competition as well. There's a lot of great builds on there. And I know someone else also made a video depicting their build of their house. I can't quite remember them at the moment. Miss Unfortunate was the one who created the Viking house, which was pretty awesome. So yeah, and right here I'm creating this small like closet space area so when the family comes in, they can kick off their boots. Because this neighborhood, of course, now we're still furnishing up the high-end neighborhood of Harvest Town, which is our rich residents of Harvest Town. So I wanted to give off that rich vibe. So they have separate closets. They don't have just a mere coat rack. No, they got closets, because that spells rich in The Sims. And I really love this. I was really thankful for this shell, or for this challenge in general, because I was so clueless as to how I was going to, what was the aesthetic for high end, because I was able to cipher out what the cul-de-sacs aesthetic was, which was kind of those sort of still having that influence of the New Orleans theme from the base game. And then the curb was going to be like a lot of stone cottages and stone structured buildings. And when it came to high end, besides like the mansion for the OG Pepper family, I had no idea what the aesthetic of this neighborhood was going to be, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I already have the shell. I've already had the exterior ready for another build for this neighborhood down the line, which is the neighbors of this household. But it was just very hard to come up with the aesthetic for this place. And then I decided to do this. I saw this shell build challenge being advertised on Twitter, and I thought, oh, I'll go do that. And then it was just basically it was the inciting incident I needed to help me, furnish this place. And I'm really, really happy for it. I love the exterior. You probably saw a small glance at it in the beginning, but I love the exterior of this house. I love the colors. I probably had the most fun, like, there's a lot of, as you can see, there's a lot of browns, light yellows, whites, light browns, and you can see the color palette that I had prepared in the front, essentially. But just like a lot of, I just really loved how, even though it's very pastelish and kind of mute to some, I really enjoyed the colors that I ended up using for this build. I was very happy with this build by the end of it. I was very satisfied. The only part that sucks about this build, which we'll get to eventually because it became a genuine issue while editing this footage, was the roofing. The roofing became a nightmare upstairs. But we'll get to that when I'll probably make comments on it when we're furnishing the upstairs second floor. Now, I guess let me talk about the story with the Pepper family. So we have Rhea Pepper, and I think she's a vice president on the business management career track, I believe. But I know she's in the management branch and she's a high up. My plan is for this family to own the retail store of one of the major retail stores in Harvesttown, which has a lot of the local businesses featured there. So like the clothing store, the local electronics store, not the grocery store. The grocery store is going to be its own special lot, but because I'm going to use a mod for that venue, so that has to be completely separate. But Ray's in charge of running the retail store and managing and trading with the businesses that she's sponsoring in this retail law, which is kind of sort of strip mall almost. So she runs that business. Her husband Dante, he says that he is an investor, and he attends the meetings and whatnot at the Cornucopia office building. However, that isn't actually the case. No, instead, Dante is a criminal. Dante is a high-ranking boss, a boss in the criminal career, which I kind of interpreted as him being basically a mobster. So yeah, he works for the mob, or he basically runs the mob of Harvesttown, and he has a lot of he knows a lot of gossip in the city and knows a lot of the residents' secrets, which he uses to his own advantage to get his way, which is money and, basically money. He loves his family, however. He's evil, but he loves his family. That's kind of how I envisioned him. Like, he loves his wife, he loves his two sons, he loves Tony and Antoine. I think he favors Tony a bit more because Tony's interested in sports, even though he's lazy. But his dad, him and his dad kind of bond over sports a lot, and they watch, sports games, where Antoine is kind of like, doesn't really care. Antoine's more of like a mama's boy than a papa's boy. But Dante loves his children a lot. However, he's been, with him being a criminal, he has to deal with a lot of that stress, of putting his family at risk. And as of recently, he's been sort of distancing himself a lot more from the family for some odd reason. Like, even when he was I would say this is probably more abnormal for him than ever. Even though he's a mafia boss, he's never been quite like trying to actively distance himself from his family. And I think Rhea is starting to become suspicious of Dante. In my eyes, I kind of saw the inciting incident of being that, so in this house, there is a upstairs kind of side area that isn't the boys' room. And in my head, I imagine Rhea wanted that place to be a joint office area for her and Dante to both work in, for both of them work-wise to, work together and help one another out. However, Dante was very, very against the idea, and he convinced her to allow him to make it his own personal office with, some kind of excuse of like, oh, well, I really need this office area. I'm afraid that if someone like breaks into the house and they try to steal from me, at least they wouldn't get to your stuff, that kind of deal. And Ray was like, okay, I'll let you have this room, but I'm now very suspicious of why this is so important. And Dante hasn't really revealed why you'll see his office area is kind of his mafia headquarters, essentially, or his main headquarters where he does all of his illegal business. But he's becoming he's trying to distance himself a lot more recently, which is starting to, be noticed by his wife and sort of his children as well. But they don't exactly know the reason why he's doing this. He knows, but he just can't tell them, and he doesn't want to risk it, especially now since things are getting a little bit too. How do I phrase this without? It's getting a little bit too serious, almost like. There's like a real threat to him and his family, which is the last thing he wants because he loves his family. He doesn't want if he does get caught, the last thing he wants is his wife and children getting involved in his business, or him and his wife and his children being, being ridiculed, or, he doesn't want his family be put up, become, unfortunate bystanders to his criminal acts. So there's that. Here I create another second entrance area, and I kind of show off the sportsy side of the family because Dante loves sports. His hobby is boxing at the moment, but I think he's also into soccer, baseball, basketball, all of the sports essentially, and he loves playing with his kids a lot. So there's that. As for the boys, actually we'll wait until we get upstairs. Instead of talking to the boys, I guess I would also like to explain more about Rhea's character because because Rhea also has her own issues at the moment. So as if you've watched my last video involving the Pepper family, you guys would have, short summary, Rhea's mother has recently passed away, and Rhea on the surface seems like she's gone over it, or she's kind of, been handling the loss well. In reality, it's not the case. Instead, Rhea's kind of, whereas her sister Azure has kind of went through a very radical change, Rhea kind of has sort of been developing a gambling habit, which I think wasn't as bad as, I think she always liked playing card games and pub games, and she's very competitive. She's a very ambitious person, and she loves winning. However, now that she's lost her mom, I think she feels that, she's lost, and she's trying to compensate that by, taking more and more risks and, proving herself with these, very, threatening card games, almost. She's been going to tournaments now. She's been going to Lucky Palms, which in my head is probably geographically the closest to Harvest Town. But she's been dealing with, trying to be a winner. And for the most part, and she's also, so how she kind of manifests this is that her Dante and the couple next door who will be not the next build that I'll showcase, but probably the one after the next one, or the next high-end house. Their neighbors, Rhea and her neighbors are kind of a part of this couples game night club, where they essentially just play games all the time, and it becomes a competitive affair between the two families. And Rhea has been more recently been playing a lot more gambling poker games with the couple in these kind of small game room area near the living room, and also the other neighbors next door as well. Rhea has been very invested in these neighborhood game nights throughout High End, and she's been also starting to try to make it almost professional at the same time by going to these gambling casinos outside of Harvest Town. Um, However, I think Dante is also realizing that she might be starting to have a problem. However, he's so busy with his own affairs that he hasn't quite been able to, talk to her about this issue. So she's kind of caught in the middle of, coping with her, with the loss of her mother, and also this kind of growing addiction to gambling to, compensate for said loss. So it's sort of sad, but when you play this household, you can handle that story however you want. I have an idea of how I want to handle this story, but you guys, when you guys have the save, you can do whatever you want to with it. I kind of leave a lot of open-ended stuff for people to interpret and handle with this save. And right here where I'm doing another entrance area, a lot of entrance areas. And I think after this I do the laundry area. I don't know if I do that I don't know if I actually did record that. I know I usually skip the bathrooms. I do get the bathroom upstairs, but I tend to skip bathrooms because sometimes when it's just a basic bathroom, I skip over it. So yeah, right here we're now doing Rhea and Dante's room. They sleep on the first floor. Upstairs is purely dedicated to the boys because I had no idea how I was going to be able to fit a double bed upstairs. That was not going to work out. It was going to be a logistics nightmare on how to make that work. And right here we have Rhea's work area. Kind of post this build because post making this build video, I did put, and this isn't featured on the gallery, but I put up some photos, especially photos featuring Rhea with her mother and with her sister, and I eventually want to get pictures with Rhea and her sons and her husband, of course, and scatter them all over the place because, as you can see, she is very she loves her family, and this, as evident with this work area, she's very she's scheduling a lot of things because of her career and how much she loves her career, and she also has a lot of family memorabilia because she loves her family. Yeah, I have a lot of families who love one another in this neighborhood, which I'm happy about, though I do have some that are like a little bit tensious, but if you guys don't know, I'm just speaking about the Rush family. But the Rush, that's the storyline for the Rush family. I'm creating this small, like, entertaining area for Dante and Rhea to, enjoy themselves in, with the TV and what have you. And I like what I do right now, where I put these contemporary-ish photo paintings in the back, because people rarely use that painting, and I know I felt like I used it in a very complimentary way. I know it kind of blends well, especially with the Alexa equivalent in The Sims 4. I don't know what the item is, but I know that it's basically an Alexa. So yeah, that's their bedroom. I put up a bunch of other photos right here, though I probably am going to go and probably remove some of those paintings to, put more family photos up there on the wall, because I feel that's more appropriate, because this is a very family-oriented household, and the whole narrative of this place is about trying to preserve, or caring a lot about this family, the whole story of this family is that they care about each other family-wise, and they don't want to break the family. Not breaking the family. That's the theme of this house, or theme of this household. Right here, I create a small, like, reading area for the boys, so when they, do schoolwork, and now we're starting to see the issues with the camera, as I talked about earlier. Like I said, this is small reading nook, so the camera, my god, it was such a nightmare building in this second floor because of how the exterior went, there's a lot of overlapping roofs between the rooms, and it became a nightmare just traversing upstairs. It's fine if it's at half wall or no wall. It's when it's on full wall where my the camera just starts glitching out because it keeps bumping up because of the roofs. Um, yeah, I tried going back and simplifying the roofs of this build, seeing if that will help fix things. Like instead of having a lot of roofs overlap, the rooms, it's the interior rooms, because I felt that that was an issue. I tried. I It still was a giant issue with this house. So I definitely recommend people who do download this house play on half walls. Um, if you want to save yourself some time, because boy, I had to do a lot of cuts throughout this build, um, because so many times the roof would just go buck wild, and I would be like, okay, I need to skip through that so I can get to this important part of the build. And right here, we're now doing Tony and Antoine's room. Now, Tony, he's lazy. However, I think he's more lazy out of him coming from a rich family, that kind of laziness. I would say he's also like he would probably be very active or athletic. It's just I think at some point it would be more appropriate to give him the snob trait, but I don't know, he's just kind of he's lazy because he lives in luxury, and that's kind of why he's lazy, even though he's very athletic. And I think I put him as a rambunctious scamp, is his aspiration, which, he's a little bit, his traits kind of contradict him almost, but yeah, he loves, on his side, which is the left side, which is the brown bed, he has, sports, a Chaz figure, loves sports. As for Antoine, Antoine, I would describe Antoine as basically Regina Joyce, but as an elementary boy. He is very crafty, to put it, to say the least. He talks to he's a very sociable sim, and even though a lot of people don't like Antoine, they still talk to him because he just has a way with words, and people can't really ignore him. And he wants to get all of the tea and gossip in Harvest Town, especially at the elementary school, and use that to his advantage almost, so he can get away with making people do his homework and stuff like that. And he is also very interested in money. I did put, you probably saw it for a small glimpse while I was talking about Tony, but he has a llama savings bank, or a piggy bank, but it's a llama, because I think he's also very fascinated by his mom, especially her business, and I feel like he really, I think he sees himself eventually getting her business, but who knows, especially given, what's going on with his family on the side, because, his mom's gambling addiction might put their family at financial risk, and there's also what his dad is doing, but who knows what's going to happen in this save, or what's going to happen to these characters. Well, I know what I'm going to do, but I know what you guys are going to do. So yeah, I put a lot of, as many activity tables and whatnot in here, because, they can afford it, and the kids are basically, they can, they don't have to worry about anything, essentially, when it comes to play and getting stuff. Oh, you can see that I moved one of the roofs back out of its original placing because I needed to move some of the roofs off, move some of the rooms away, or roofs. I had to move some of the roofs away so I could, build these interiors without losing my mind because of the camera, especially in these slim rooms. So yeah, Anton is very much very fascinated by business and what have you, and Tony loves sports, and you know, the kind of polar opposites, but you know, they have a strong bond with one another, and they have a sort of gang. They have like these varsity jackets, which I feel like their dad gave them. Um, and they kind of see themselves a little bit better than everyone. And right here is Dante's office space area. Um, and as you can see, he has a lot of uncounted money in his office, a lot of money bags. Um, and you know, Dante is, well, I already explained Dante's very conflicted about him doing. He likes his job. He's just very. The one thing that makes him very conflicted about is that it puts him and his family at risk. Besides that, he loves it. I think his trait is he's evil. I think he does have the evil trait. Um, so there's that, and you know, he loves boxing. So I wanted it. It's a very sparse room, but like I wanted to keep it kind of sparse because I feel like, you know, at a moment's notice, I think he feels like at a moment's, sorry, at a notice, at any notice or any moment, someone could come, you know, the police could come, and he just needs a way to, you know, grab everything, without, you know, if he has to clean this room up, he has to make it very, like, you know, the less stuff in here, the better, essentially. You know, it's a very simple room, but effective, and that's what I like. A lot of this, you know, this house was like very simple but very effective, especially with the color scheme and what have you. And here I am doing the one bathroom for the kids bathroom. It's nothing very special. It's, I don't know. I feel like bathrooms are like, for me, almost like I can just easily skip over them because I don't do really that. I don't do a lot of crazy things, especially if it isn't like if the sim isn't really into makeup, because then I try my hardest to show, like, you know, how they sort out their makeup and that kind of jazz. But that doesn't really happen in this household. But who knows? Maybe Anton and Dante secretly really like makeup, and you know, you could put up some nail polish or like blah stuff. Though there isn't any kids makeup. I don't think there is any in the game, which kind of sucks. Especially since I'm going to use Slice of Life from Kawaii Stacy, and she allows you to have like you can actually put makeup on your Sims, which I really, really love. Especially for my fashion design Sims, my stylist. You know, it actually, like, I wish your Sims could give other Sims makeovers, but that kind of exists and get famous. But I digress. But so yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think kids can do it. I think it's mostly a teen and teen and adult function, essentially. So now we're getting to the landscaping. This part was, I really love these trees. I really love these trees. I don't know, they're very detailed, and they worked really well with the color scheme of this house. This house looks beautiful in the evening. Like, put this stuff, like, if you download this house and you don't really want to play it, or if you don't really have plans playing Harvest Town, or just want to look at the builds, at least when you go to this build, at least put it, set it to evening, because this is when this place, like, it looks perfect. The lighting just complements the color of not only the trees, but also the paint of the house and the roofing as well. It's quite something. I loved how this build, the exterior is. I really do. I love this exterior a lot. I also really like how I use these rose bushes, which I really don't use very often in my builds, and I was very happy that I was able to use piece of flora that I rarely use. I wanted to also use the sunflowers, but that wasn't really going to jive well with this build, unfortunately. But yeah, the trees and just a lot of things just went really well with this build, and I was very happy about it. I'm so thankful for Mullen for giving this having this challenge, because oh boy, I would have been stumped for days trying to figure out what I was going to do for this neighborhood. And now that I've been decently I've been able to make my stride with the other high-end exterior, the other high-end building for this neighborhood. Though I still tweak it every now and then because I wanted to have a little bit more tonal or aesthetic consistency. But yeah, so we're not exactly at the end here, but there isn't really much for me else to say. But if definitely check out Monlin's stuff. She does some great builds, especially the build that she used this shell for previously. I forget what the exact name of that build was called, but if you go to her channel, you will definitely see it there. And also check out Miss Unfortunate. I hope I got that correct. I know I had to look it up for a sec. Check out her stuff because her Viking build is also pretty amazing as well. And look forward to our next build where we're going back to the curb and we're going to be doing the cottage for Alana Rush, the daughter of Mallory Rush, and Alana's daughter Cynthia. And that's going to be fun because it's me furnishing a very, very, very small house. It's probably like the only tiny home in this save. So definitely check out that video when I eventually do upload it. So yeah, I hope everyone is having a great day. Let me know in the comments down below how your day's going. Anything in general or any questions you might have about this build or about the save, I'm happy to answer. I'm ecstatic when anyone, ask me any questions. I would love to have some people to talk to in the comments. Also, side note, very much love the awning that it's the awning that I created with this bookshelf. That's a fun story. I had to size up that bookshelf, and basically made it into a small side roof awning thing with the flowers. That chef's kiss. I was so happy about that. And I'm creating a small garden area over here. It was really cute as well. And I give the family 2 bots, I think, or I at least give them a planter's bot. So that way they have an automatic gardener and you guys don't have to hire a gardener to take care of the plants of this house. Because I don't think the Pepper family actively gardens in their own house. They just kind of wait for the harvest and then they pick it. So it's oh, okay, we just have some free, we don't have to go to the grocery store kind of deal. I also created a small side patio area with a grill as well. So yeah, it's very simple and very effective, and overall, that's what I can say about this build. It's very simple but extremely effective, and I couldn't be happier. This is probably by far one of my favorite builds doing thus far, and I hope you guys like this build as well. Like I said, I would love to see some comments I would love to see some comments and talk to you guys and know how your day's going. Because yeah, it's fun to check in with people and stuff like that, and I haven't really had many people talk in the comments thus far, so I would just really love to interact with someone, So yeah, we're finishing up here with this build. I know that I was kind of giving my wind down talk earlier, but we're definitely now at the end here. So thank you very much for watching this video. I very much appreciate you. And yeah, bye.